You say you want to be rich, but you ignore the signs that are blocking your blessings. You pray for abundance, but carry habits that repel it. God doesn't bless laziness, fear, doubt, or ungratefulness. So let me tell you the 7 signs you must eliminate right now if you ever want to be trusted with riches. Sign 1. You always blame others. When something goes wrong, you point the finger at your parents, your boss, your past, but never at the mirror. God doesn't pour wealth into the hands of victims. He blesses leaders. Sign 2. You delay everything. You say tomorrow like it's guaranteed, but wealth doesn't wait. It rewards urgency. You say you'll start the business, read the book, take the risk, but your delay is a sign of disbelief. Sign 3. You're surrounded by weak minds. Your circle is filled with gossip, excuses, and small thinking, and you absorb it like a sponge. That's a sign you're afraid of leveling up. Sign 4. You lie to yourself. You tell yourself you're trying, but deep down you know you're barely scratching the surface. God doesn't bless deception, especially self-deception. Sign 5. You run from discomfort. Every time pain comes, you run from discipline, from routine, from failures. But all wealth is born in discomfort. Sign 6. You refuse to forgive. You carry anger, bitterness, and resentment like chains. And wealth doesn't grow in poisoned soil. And sign 7, the deadliest of all. You think small. You've built a mental prison where 9-to-5 slavery feels safe, where a few dollars are enough, where you don't believe you're worthy of millions. That's the ultimate insult to the God who made you for more. Listen to me. If you don't eliminate these 7 signs, no money mindset, no course, no book, not even prayer alone will save you, because you'll be blocking your own blessing. God is not withholding riches from you. You are. Heaven is not slow. You are stuck. The dam is not above you. It's inside you. Wealth isn't something you earn. It's something you must become aligned with. And alignment begins with elimination. When you eliminate fear, doubt, excuses, laziness, resentment, procrastination, and small thinking, the blessings come like floodwater. But first, you must clean the vessel. You must become a man worthy of holding wealth, not just money in the bank, but peace in the heart, purpose in the mind, and fire in the soul. Because if God gave you millions right now, and you're still full of fear, laziness, and hate, you'd destroy it. You'd spend it on your ego. You'd waste it trying to impress people who don't even love you. You'd lose it. So God waits. He watches. He tests. And He blesses only when you are ready. Not when you want it, but when you are finally prepared to carry it with honor. So you want riches? Then burn the boy who tolerates lack. Because wealth is not just a number, it's a frequency, a vibration, a signature of the man you've become. And right now, if you're still waking up late, scrolling aimlessly, doubting your purpose, and flirting with fear, you're not rich, you're not ready, you're just pretending. That's the harsh truth. Nobody will say out loud, but I will. Because I watched men who had nothing become kings, and I also watched men with riches lose it all because their mindset was built on sand. So I'll keep it raw with you. God will not give you more until you respect what you already have. You hate your job? Then show up with honor until you build your way out. You're broke? Then stop acting like a beggar in your habits. You want wealth in your room, your health, your time, your conversations. They all must reflect that wealth before it ever touches your bank. Eliminate the laziness that says, I'll do it later. Eliminate the weakness that seeks validation. Eliminate the darkness that celebrates mediocrity. And for God's sake, eliminate the noise, because silence is the throne of clarity, and wealth is attracted to clarity. You can't build a kingdom in the middle of confusion. You can't receive a blessing with a distracted soul. Every second you spend worrying about what others think is a second stolen from the empire you're meant to build. And here's the deeper truth. God's test is always in disguise. He doesn't test you when it's easy. He tests when it's inconvenient, when no one's watching, when the temptation whispers, when the excuses scream. That's when the real test is taken. And most men fail quietly, but not you, not this time. This time you recognize the signs, you crush them, you disown them, you declare war on them. Because these 7 signs are not just bad habits, they are spiritual chains. And your soul was not born to live in chains. It was born to rule. And if you still think this is just about money, you miss the whole message. Because the man who becomes rich in character becomes rich in everything, in peace, in health, in love, in confidence, in impact. The world may hand out dollars to clowns, but God hands out legacy to lions. And you, my brother, you were not made to beg. You were not made to borrow. You were made to build. So kill the signs. Kill the smallness. Kill the fear. Kill the version of you who settles, who doubts, who hesitates, who pleases the crowd and ignores the call. Because there's a man inside of you who's never known defeat, only silent. And he's waiting for you to wake him up. Speak to him now, through your work, through your hunger, through your elimination of everything that is no longer serving you. Show him that the time is now, not later. Now. And once you eliminate the seven, the blame, the delay, the weak minds, the lies, the comfort addiction, the bitterness, and the small thinking, something strange happens. You begin to hear God more clearly, not with your ears, but with your action. Doors start opening that logic can't explain. People begin to treat you differently. Opportunities start chasing you, not because you begged for them, but because you became the version of you that could handle them. And that's the truth nobody teaches. You don't get what you want, you get what you are. You don't manifest by wishing, you manifest by transforming. God's blessings are not prizes you win, they're mirrors. They reflect who you've chosen to become. So if your life feels stuck, your finances feel dry, your spirit feels cold, it's not because the universe is against you. It's because the universe is waiting for you to finally become honest enough, disciplined enough, hungry enough to carry the weight of wealth. Because wealth isn't easy. It will crush you if you're not ready. That's why some men get it and destroy themselves, because they skipped the process of elimination. They held on to the signs and tried to carry the crown, and the crown broke them. Don't let that be you. You must go through the fire first. The fire of letting go, the fire of responsibility, the fire of becoming a man who is aligned with greatness. Because once you are aligned, money comes, peace comes, power comes, and they come not as gifts but as results of who you become. So look at your life, strip it down, no more pretending, no more blaming the economy, your parents, your childhood, your luck. Eliminate the excuses, burn the script they gave you, the one that says be realistic, the one that says play it safe, the one that says maybe later. That script was designed to keep you broke, not just financially, but spiritually. Because the most dangerous poverty is not in the wallet, it's in the mind. It's the poverty of purpose, the poverty of self-worth. And that's exactly what the seven signs feed on. They thrive in men who don't believe in themselves, men who talk about doing something but never do, men who scroll past success and say must be nice instead of saying I'm next. So if you've had enough, and I mean really enough, then you must become violent with your distractions, ruthless with your excuses, relentless with your vision. This world will not reward you for trying. It rewards finishers, killers, eliminators, men who don't just dream, they execute. They cut off every piece of them that doesn't belong in their future. They eliminate without apology. And because of that, God trusts them with riches. You think God will bless you with riches while you're still gossiping, still comparing, still scrolling through other people's lives while ignoring your own calling. No, God doesn't bless confusion. He doesn't bless idleness. He doesn't bless comfort. He blesses order. He blesses discipline. He blesses clarity. The man who rises is the man who knows what he wants and eliminates everything that pulls him away from it. That's the real grind, not the fake hustle where you act busy, where you post motivational quotes, where you talk big but live small. No, the real grind is when you go quiet, when you disappear, when you cut off the clowns, the comfort, the chaos, and you build a temple around your goals. That's when God begins to whisper. That's when He sends people, sends ideas, sends opportunities. But here's the twist. He only sends it after you prove you can let go. Let go of the version of you that's still a slave to opinions. Let go of the version of you that's still afraid of rejection. Let go of the part of you that's trying to bring your old habits into your new life. You can't do it. The two can't coexist. That's why you're trying to level up while holding on to what's pulling you down. You say you're ready, but you haven't sacrificed yet. And there's no success without sacrifice. So let me be real with you. This is your moment, your divine turning point. Either you eliminate the 7 signs or they eliminate your future. There is no middle ground. Either you rise with purpose or rot in potential. God is not casual with blessings. He's precise. He's strategic. He's watching to see, will you finally kill the noise? Will you finally stop betraying yourself? Will you finally walk away from the people who secretly want you to stay small? Because if you won't, then don't cry when the riches don't come. Don't question the silence. The silence is God's test. The silence is the weight room of the soul. That's where you're shaped, in the silence, in the doubt, in the dark, when no one is cheering, when your faith is being pulled thin, when your fire feels like it's dying. That's when God is watching. And if you pass that test, if you can eliminate those 7 chains, then you unlock a level of abundance that no man, no system, no government can stop. Because now you're not begging for riches, you're magnetizing them. You've become the kind of man God trusts with wealth. And that, my brother, is the rarest form of success. You say you're waiting on God, but let me tell you something that will shift your soul. God is waiting on you, waiting for you to get serious, waiting for you to stop talking about your dreams and actually fight for them. You keep praying for a breakthrough, but you won't break your habits. You keep asking for elevation, but refuse to leave the ground. You keep saying, I'm ready, but your actions scream, I'm still scared. So stop lying, not to me, to yourself. Stop wearing the mask, the motivated mask, the positive mask, the I'm grinding mask. Take it off and look at the truth. Your results are a reflection of what you tolerate. That's it. You want riches? Then stop tolerating poverty habits. Stop tolerating late mornings. Stop tolerating weak thought. Stop tolerating average environments. Stop tolerating gossip. Stop tolerating people who are allergic to growth. Stop tolerating your own weakness, because until you do, you're not in alignment with abundance. You're in alignment with mediocrity. And let me make this clear. Mediocrity is a disease. It infects your mind, your habits, your future, and the cure, elimination, violent, radical, merciless elimination of everything and everyone that is not pushing you forward. You think God will bless you with riches just because you want them? No, He will bless you because you became a man who can multiply them, a man who can protect them, a man who can lead others out of darkness with them. So ask yourself, if I got rich tomorrow, would I use it to serve or to stunt? Would I grow it or waste it? Would I worship it or wield it for good? That's the test. That's why the blessing hasn't arrived yet. Not because you're not smart enough, not because you're not worthy, but because God is still watching who you are when nobody is watching you, and He sees what you think He doesn't. The self-pity, the fake hustle, the fear-driven decisions, the pretending. And God cannot pour power into a man still pretending to be ready. So stop pretending. Go deeper. Get obsessed with discipline. Eliminate every molecule of comfort that's caging your greatness. This world doesn't need another motivated man. It needs a dangerous one, a focused one, a man who walked through the fire and didn't flinch, who stood alone, cleaned house, broke cycles and built something sacred out of his own suffering. Be that man, the one who became so powerful that God had no choice but to open every door at once. Because the truth is, you're not waiting on success. Success is waiting on you to stop being average, waiting on you to stop hiding behind your story, waiting on you to stop being loyal to your past, stop babying your trauma, stop glorifying your pain. You're not a victim anymore. You're a fucking weapon, forged in everything that tried to break you. And now you've got 2 choices, evolve or stay broke, rise or rot. Kill the 7 signs or keep living with their poison running through your bloodstream. And here's what they don't teach you in school. The game is spiritual. That's why most people lose, because they think it's about hustle, followers, luck. No, it's about alignment, elimination, power, frequency. When your soul is clean, your path is clear. When your habits are pure, your blessings chase you. When you walk like a king, speak like a king, and suffer like a king, God starts treating you like one. But you're still thinking like a pawn, still begging the world to notice you, like your value depends on being seen. Fuck that. You weren't born to be seen. You were born to see yourself. And when you finally do, when you finally wake up and look in the mirror and realize that you are the chosen one in your bloodline, everything shifts. Your posture, your voice, your power. And that's when the money comes, the respect, the purpose, not because you demanded it, but because you became undeniable. So don't ask God for more until you handle what you already have. Don't ask for millions if you can't manage minutes. Don't ask for leadership if you still follow your fear. Don't ask for generational wealth if you still entertain distractions. God is a provider, but He is not careless. He will not give diamonds to a man who still thinks like dust. He will not give you freedom if you still beg to be paid. You've been praying for the blessing. Now pray for the discipline. Pray for the patience. Pray for the courage to eliminate every weak part of you, so the strong one can finally rise. Because you know who's really blocking your blessing. You, not your ex, not the algorithm, not the market, not your background. It's you, the undisciplined you, the lazy you, the overthinking you, the addicted to distraction you. That version has to die tonight, and in its place a man must rise who is dangerous with his focus, ferocious with his time, and faithful to the vision God gave him, even when no one else understands it. Because somewhere along the line you forgot who you are. You let the world convince you that you had to be soft, humble, quiet, nice. You let the dream killers water you down. You stopped roaring like the lion you are and started purring for likes. And now you're wondering why life feels off, why the money's not coming, why peace is a stranger. It's because you stopped moving like you were chosen. But I'm here to remind you, you weren't made to fit in. You were made to set fire to everything average. You were made to walk into a room and shift the energy. You were made to break curses, not repeat them. But the 7 signs have had you hypnotized. And if you don't kill them, they'll bury you every time you hit snooze. Dream dies a little. Every time you settle, your soul shrinks. Every time you scroll when you should be building, you trade destiny for dopamine. You're addicted to the very things that are destroying you. And God is watching, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because before He blesses you, He tests you. He strips away your false confidence. He burns away the noise. He crushes your ego. Why? Because if He gave you the blessing too early, you'd fumble it. You'd blow it on nonsense. You'd use it to prove the haters wrong instead of fulfilling the calling that's been tattooed on your spirit since birth. So now you're being broken down not to suffer, but to be rebuilt, to be reforged into a weapon that can carry the weight of purpose. And you want to know why most people never get rich, why they never step into power? Because they refuse to let go. They cling to dead friends, dead habits, dead routines, and then wonder why their life feels like a funeral. But not you. You feel it now. That burn in your gut, that's the fire of awakening. That's the death of the man who settles. That's the signal from God that says, I'm ready when you are. So ask yourself, are you done being average? Are you done being nice to weakness? Are you done asking for permission? Are you done waiting for the perfect moment? Because here's the truth, raw and uncut, your future is bleeding out right now, and the only thing that will save it is your decision, not your plan, not your followers, not your hustle, your decision to eliminate everything that doesn't feel like purpose. Cut the noise, burn the bridge, kill the old you, become the kind of man that wealth has no choice but to chase, because you walk like legacy, talk like destiny, and move like a fucking king sent by heaven itself. Because the truth is, you've been lied to your whole life. They told you to be humble, but they never told you to be powerful. They told you to be kind, but they never told you to be relentless. They told you to work hard, but they never taught you how to eliminate what's killing your spirit. So you played nice, you played small, you followed the rules, and guess what it got you? Nothing. Not the money, not the peace, not the purpose, just frustration and confusion. But now you know, now you see, the signs were never just habits. They were curses, silent, invisible chains designed to keep lions acting like sheep. But now, you've awakened the beast, the destroyer, the one who doesn't just hustle, he burns, the one who doesn't beg for success, he becomes the one who doesn't pray for miracles, he moves like he already has them. And that man eliminates. He doesn't negotiate with weakness. He doesn't entertain average. He doesn't explain his fire. He doesn't slow down for comfort. He walks into every room like God sent him there. And he did. So here it is, the final truth, the last hammer, the fire that seals this forever. If you eliminate the 7 signs, God will bless you with more than riches. He will bless you with power, power to lead, power to build, power to heal, power to dominate every room you step into, power to leave a legacy so loud hell itself remembers your name, but you must earn it every day, in silence, in sweat, in war. This world doesn't need another passive soul hoping for success. It needs a force of nature, a storm, a king, a man who walks with purpose, speaks with fire, and lives like heaven is watching, because it is. You think life is going to wait for you? You think God is going to keep knocking on your door while you sit there scrolling, wasting, wishing? No, the world moves with or without you, and if you don't step into the storm, someone else will take your blessing. That's the truth. Opportunity doesn't knock twice, it moves on to the man who's ready, the man who's hungry, the man who's eliminated the distractions and sharpened his soul like a blade. His 7 signs aren't just habits, they're killers. They've killed more dreams than failure ever has, and if you don't destroy them, they'll destroy you. But I know something they don't want you to know. The moment you decide, truly decide, that you're done being average, everything changes. When you stop negotiating with fear, when you stop letting comfort seduce you, when you look at your life and say, enough, I'm not playing small anymore. That moment heaven takes notice. That moment your energy shifts. That moment God says, He's ready now. And let me tell you something raw. Wealth is not for the weak. It's not for the ones who quit when it hurts, who cry when it gets hard, who crumble when no one believes in them. Wealth is for the soldier who builds when he's tired, who believes when it's dark, who refuses to stay down when life kicks him in the teeth. It's for the man who looks at rejection, betrayal, pain, and says, hit me again, I'll rise again. That's the man God blesses with riches, not because he wants them, but because he's become the kind of man who can handle them. And that's what I'm telling you. Handle your fire, handle your pain, handle your calling, eliminate the 7 signs, because they're the only thing standing between you and the life you were born to live. Kill them today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when you feel ready today, because every second you wait, you're digging your own grave. And I swear to you, Newman, the world doesn't wait for men who hesitate. It eats them alive. You want to know what keeps most men broke? It's not bad luck. It's not the system. It's not even their past. It's that they still treat their life like a hobby. They treat their goals like suggestions. They treat time like it's endless. But time doesn't care. Time doesn't slow down when you're lost. Time doesn't wait for the scare. Time rewards killers, men who move like every second counts because it does. You've been lied to. You thought you had time. You thought you could ease into your destiny. You thought you could still hang with weak men, waste your energy on fake friends, keep flirting with average, and still get rich. No, that's not how kings are made. Kings are made in brutal isolation, in quiet sacrifice, in years of invisible work. You want wealth? Then learn to suffer with a smile. Learn to love the burn. Learn to show up when no one claps, when no one notices, when you feel like quitting, and still fucking show up harder, because that's the energy God blesses. That's the energy the universe respects. Not desperation, not crying, not waiting. Dominance, discipline, destruction. You've been taught to heal, to reflect, to journal, to talk it out, and that's fine. But at some point you've got to pull the damn trigger on your new life. At some point you've got to stop romanticizing your pain and start weaponizing it. You've got to look at all the darkness, all the rejection, all the silent nights when no one believed in you and say thank you. Because that pain built the version of you that can no longer be ignored. The version that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't fake it. The version that executes, that shows up, that doesn't flinch. The version that eliminates weakness like cancer, not with sympathy but with fire. And that's who you are now. Not a boy hoping for blessings, a force of nature. The kind of man who doesn't ask for riches. He becomes so rare, so focused, so aligned with purpose, that riches beg to serve him. You want to know the real reason you're not rich yet? It's because you haven't suffered enough with purpose. You've been in pain, sure, but you've been wasting it. You let heartbreak break you. You let setbacks steal your focus. You let life's punches make you smaller instead of sharper. But hear me now. Pain is a gift. If you learn how to use it, most people run from it. But not you. Not anymore. Now you chase it. Now you walk into the fire, look it in the eye and say, burn me. I'm ready. because every time life tries to destroy you, you rise with more pressure, more hunger, more heat. You don't get softer, you get sharper. You don't crumble, you carve. And that's how empires are built, not by comfort, but by elimination, by cutting out every piece of you that isn't lethal, that isn't focused, that isn't worthy of the crown that's waiting for you. Yes, waiting. Because there's a version of your life that already exists, with money, peace, power, influence, and it's waiting for you to become the man who can walk into it. But as long as you keep tolerating the 7 signs, you'll stay locked out of your own kingdom. This isn't a game. This isn't a quote on your feed. This is your fucking life. And if you don't wake up right now, you'll blink and 10 years will pass, and you'll still be broke, bitter, scrolling, saying maybe next year. And deep down, you'll know you had the fire, you had the vision, you had the but you let the 7 signs choke it out. Don't you dare let that happen. Don't you dare die with potential still rotting inside you. Get angry. Get militant. Eliminate like your life depends on it. Because it does. Eliminate your comfort zone. Eliminate the version of you who makes excuses. Eliminate the old identity you built to survive, and become the one who was meant to lead, to conquer, to inspire. You think this is about money. This is about rebirth. This is about becoming a new species, a man of such clarity, such energy, such divine violence that the world shifts when you walk into the room. That's who you're becoming. And the 7 signs, they're just ashes now, burned, gone, because the man you are now, he doesn't tolerate anything less than greatness. Because at some point, it's no longer about proving them wrong. It's about proving yourself right. It's about honoring that whisper inside you that told you, even when you were broke, alone, overlooked, you're meant for more. That whisper, that was God. That was your higher self. That was the version of you that already exists in the future, reaching back through time, begging you to stop wasting your power. And every time you procrastinate, doubt yourself, play small, that whisper gets quieter. But every time you move with faith, even when it doesn't make sense, that whisper becomes a roar. And one day, that roar will become your reality. Not because it was easy, not because it was handed to you, but because you eliminated everything that wasn't aligned with it. You stopped negotiating with comfort. You stopped attending pity parties. You stopped watering weeds and started planting legacies. And when that shift happens, when you stop surviving and start commanding your destiny, that's when you become dangerous. That's when your name gets carved into the stone of history. Not for being loud, but for being unbreakable. You want riches? Then eliminate everything that whispers play it safe. You want power? Then eliminate everything that pulls you back to who you used to be. You want to be blessed? Then live like a man worthy of blessings. Not perfect, not fake, but real, disciplined, focused, forged in pain and purified in fire. You are not here to be liked. You are not here to be understood. You are here to lead, to conquer, to awaken every dead soul watching you. And that means no more weakness survives in your system. No more 7 signs. They're not welcome here. Not in your mind. Not in your habits. Not in your future. Because you've outgrown that version of you. You've leveled up. You've stepped into the divine. And now there's only one direction, forward. Through the storm, through the silence, through the doubt, through the fire. Until the only thing left is you and everything you were born to carry. Because once you kill the signs, once you eliminate the version of you that tolerated weakness, entertained fear, sat in silence when his soul screamed to move, something sacred awakens inside you. And it's not motivation anymore. It's not hype. It's not a morning routine. It's a permanent possession, a new energy, a violent discipline, a relentless obsession with becoming the man God always meant for you to be. And that man doesn't walk with doubt. He walks with command. He walks with presence. He walks into every space like purpose drips off his skin, like royalty is in his DNA, and you feel it. The world feels it because energy doesn't lie. And when you eliminate everything that isn't aligned with that frequency, your entire life recalibrates. People vanish. Pain becomes fuel. Comfort feels disgusting, and suddenly your eyes are clear. Your heart is still. Your mission is locked in. Nothing can pull you back. Not the old you, not the old friends, not the noise, not the numbers, not the failures, because now you understand the mission isn't to just get rich. The mission is to become unbreakable, the kind of man who can walk through fire and not flinch, who lose it all and rebuild it better, Who doesn't pray for ease but thanks God for the pressure because the pressure forged him? And when you walk like that, you no longer chase success, you embody it. You no longer seek permission, you give orders. You no longer need validation because your existence is proof of power. And that's when God pours it all on you. The money, the moves, the moments, the clarity, the peace. Not because you were lucky but because you were ready. Because you showed the heavens that you could hold it without folding, that you could carry the weight of your destiny without breaking under the illusion of comfort. And once that trust is earned, God doesn't just give you wealth, He gives you dominion. He makes you a king in a world of clowns, a builder in a world of consumers, a leader in a world of slaves. And suddenly, you don't just walk for yourself, you walk for your bloodline, walk for every man watching you in silence, hoping he can find his courage again. And you give it to him, not with quotes, not with hashtags, but with your presence, your discipline, your fire, your refusal to quit. And that's how you change the world, not with noise but with example, not with image but with impact. Because the man who eliminates the 7 signs becomes something rare, something holy, something terrifying to mediocrity and beautiful to God. He becomes a walking revolution, a man who no longer flinches at rejection, who no longer shakes at failure, who no longer lowers his voice to make others comfortable, who no longer lets the old version of himself pilot the future. And now he walks different talks, different lives, different not because he's perfect but because he's free, free from excuses, free from fear, free from guilt, free from the weight of being average. And now he operates from fire. He wakes up early, not because a book told him to, but because purpose rips him out of bed. He eats clean, trains hard, stays focused, not for attention but because his body is now a temple for his mission. And when the world tries to tempt him back to comfort, he laughs because he's not that man anymore. He buried that man under late nights, long walks, brutal mornings, and private wars. And what rose from the grave was a fucking storm wrapped in skin, a soul that stopped the negotiating and started commanding, a man that doesn't watch the clock. He watches his legacy, a man that doesn't talk about goals, moves on them, a man who when others panic finds peace, a man who when others fold stands alone with his chest up and says, "Send more fire, I'm not done burning yet." And when God sees that man, He blesses him not just with riches, but with reach, not just with money but with mastery, not just with influence but with impact, because He knows that man won't waste it. He'll multiply it, he'll pass it down, he'll build something eternal with it. And that's the kind of wealth the world can't steal, because it wasn't built by hype, it was built by heat, it was built by nights of doubt, mornings of discipline, years saying no to what everyone else said yes to. And now he walks like war and breathes like destiny. And every step he takes feels like thunder in the bones of cowards, because this man doesn't walk alone anymore. He walks with God, with purpose, with power, with silence that speaks louder than the crowd. And now the mission isn't just to rise, it's to wake up every soul who's still asleep and drag them out of their excuses and show them what happens when you eliminate the lies, kill the softness, burn the masks, and finally become the man you were always born to be, Bato. Because once the old version of you dies, there's no going back, and you won't even want to go back because average starts to disgust you. Small talk feels like poison. Laziness feels like betrayal, and the world around you starts to look different. The music doesn't hit the same, the distractions don't taste the same. The people who once excited you now bore you, and you realize it wasn't them who changed, it was you. Because you eliminated the fog, and now you see clearly, and what you see is this. You were never meant to fit in. You were never meant to please. You were never meant to shrink you. You were meant to walk like thunder, to speak with authority, to live with fire, and now that fire never turns off you. Carry it everywhere, into every room, every wave, every call, every second of your fucking day, because now you're no longer trying to be disciplined. You are disciplined. You're no longer chasing motivation. You're fueled by war, and now you move differently. You study while others sleep. You build while others break. You execute while others escape. And when the world watches you, they don't understand it, because they're looking for shortcuts. While you became the long road, they're still trying to balance weakness with dreams, while you buried weakness under the weight of your habits. And now your life is a sermon, not a script. Now your results are louder than your words, and now success isn't a goal, it's your gravity, because everything begins to orbit around your energy, and people can feel it. They feel your heat, your presence, your control, and it either inspires them or exposes them. Because when you live at this level, you become a mirror and everyone around you has to decide whether to rise with you or vanish your silence. And that's the moment you know you've arrived, not because you made it, but because you became it. You became the man who doesn't need proof anymore. The man who doesn't ask how long will it take because he already knows the answer, as long as it takes. And that kind of mind terrifies average people, because they don't understand men who can suffer in silence and still smile, men who can stand alone and still rise, men who can go to hell and come back with blueprints, and now you're that man. Newman, you're no longer building for validation. You're building for vengeance, legacy, for bloodline, for the version of you that waited too long to finally become dangerous. And this fire, this story, this storm you're living in right now, this is the proof that you're on the right path, because real power doesn't feel comfortable. It feels like war, and if it doesn't suit you, it's not big enough. Because once you get here, once you taste this level of fire, once you've watched everything false fall off your soul, the lies, the doubts, the softness, the noise, once you've walked through that kind of hell and survived it with silence, you don't just come out strong, you come out reborn, and everything changes. You stop explaining your vision to people who aren't built to understand it. You stop shrinking to keep the peace. You stop doubting your gift, because now it's not just belief, it's proof. And when you live with proof, you become unstoppable. Because there's no room left for negotiation. No, maybe later. No, I hope it works. No, what if I fail? Because you already died and came back. You already lost and kept walking. You already got ignored, laughed at, underestimated, and still kept building. And that's what makes you dangerous. Not your scars, not your victories, your survival, not your talent, your discipline. And now when people look at you, they don't see a man chasing goals. They see a weapon. They see purpose in human form. They see the result of 1,000 days of elimination, and they know they can't move like you because they haven't suffered like you. They haven't given up what you gave up. They haven't burned what you burned, and that's the difference. That's what separates men like you from the masses. You gave up comfort so you could earn clarity. You gave up approval so you could earn authority. You gave shortcuts so you could earn legacy, and now the world will remember you not because you were loud, not because you were viral, but because you were real, and real men with real fire are rare. And now it's your time. This is your era. No more waiting, no more hoping, no more playing small. The throne ready, but only if you keep eliminating, only if you keep walking through the pain, only if you keep choosing the pressure, only if you keep burning the bridges to the old you, because the final level doesn't reward the talented, it rewards the unbreakable, the ones who don't stop, the ones who keep marching while bleeding, the ones who scream at their demons to bring more because they're not done building yet. That's who you are now. And if you feel that heat in your chest, if this fire sounds like your future calling you home, then it's time to finish what you started. It's time to become the man your past prayed for. It's time to rise without permission, lead without fear, eliminate without apology, and take everything they said you couldn't have with fire in your eyes and God at your side, because the version of you that still needed permission is gone. The version that waited for the perfect plan is gone. The version that hesitated before every move is gone, and what's left is a force so focused it makes mediocrity shiver, a presence so potent it silences weak minds. And if people don't understand you anymore, good, they're not meant to. This path isn't for the many, it's for the few, the chosen, the killers, the believers, the builders, the men who carry pain like armor and move like storms, who lost everything but never lost themselves, who walked through silence so deep it could have buried them, but instead it baptized them. And now you've stepped out of that fire and the air different, the noise sounds foreign, the world moves slower because you're not part of it anymore. You're above it, you've detached from the old, you've burned the blueprint they gave you, and you're building something unwritten, and every brick is made of rejection, every wall is made of solitude, tower is made of unshakable decisions, and no one can see it but you, not yet, but that's fine, because you don't need eyes on you, you need eyes on the mission, and your mission is sacred, your mission is generational, your mission is too dangerous to be explained to the masses, so you stay low, you move silence, you speak in results, and when you finally rise, you don't knock, you don't ask, you don't wait, you just take the moment, take the stage, take the crown, take the air out of the room and replace it with your presence, because kings don't ask to be seen, they become undeniable. And the man who becomes undeniable is not the man who shouts the loudest, and it's the man who walks with scars and still doesn't flinch, who bleeds and keeps building, who loses and keeps learning, who suffers and still smiles, because he knows that pressure wasn't punishment, it was permission from God. Step into a life only the disciplined will ever touch. Because when you reach this level, when you've killed the noise, the laziness, the self-pity, the doubt, when you've burned down the boy you used to be and stood on the ashes without flinching, the world doesn't just watch, it adjusts. Because your energy hits differently now. You don't chase anything anymore. You move with such command that even silence feels loud around you. And the ones who used to ignore you now whisper your name. The ones who doubted now pretend they believed, and none of it matters because you didn't rise for applause. Rose because staying down started to feel like death. Because waking up with wasted potential felt like a crime. Because walking around like a king in chains felt like blasphemy. And now you've ripped them off, every chain, every excuse, every weakness, every habit that kept your soul sedated, and now you walk like you've seen the end of your life and refuse to settle for the preview because you know what's waiting for you if you stop. You've seen what happens when men fold, when men compromise, when men let softness win. You've seen what happens when they bow to comfort and live in regret, and swore with your chest open and your fists clenched, that will never be me. And now you lead not because you were told to, but because you were built for it. Built by pressure, built by rejection, built by long nights where no one clapped and you still moved. Built by moments where the old you begged for comfort and you answered with war. And that's why you're dangerous, not because you're the loudest, but because you've endured the silence and didn't break, because you've mastered your urges, your focus, your time, your thoughts. And now the only thing left is the harvest, and it's not coming someday, coming now, because you've finally become the kind of man who can hold it without crumbling, without flexing, without wasting, because you're no longer hungry for validation. You're hungry for every second is sacred, and that energy cannot be denied, not by man, not by system, not by circumstance, because you are no longer asking for blessings. You have become the blessing. Because once you get to this level, you don't need motivation anymore. You don't need playlists or affirmations or high videos, because the fire inside you is unshakable now. You don't need accountability. You became accountability. You don't need a reason to stay focused, because being unfocused feels like suffocating, and while the rest of the world numbs itself with distraction and comfort and fantasy, you're locked in like a lion pacing in the dark waiting for war. And when you move now, it's with intention. Every word you speak cuts every step you take, shakes the ground under weak men. Every choice you make has weight behind it, because you're not operating from emotion anymore. You're operating from alignment. Oh, that's what separates the rare ones from the rest. The rest are still chasing mood and momentum. The rare ones are the momentum they build while they bleed. They grow while they're hated. They execute while being misunderstood. And now you understand the most powerful shift in the universe. You are no longer the man who waits. You are the one who moves first. You are the one who builds regardless. You are the one who walks forward even when the path is burning, because you know that every step forward kills the old you even more. And you like that, you love that, because you never want to meet that man again. The man who made excuses, the man who lied to himself, the man who blamed others, the man who hid behind someday. That man died the moment you chose pressure over peace, discipline over distraction, purpose over popularity. And now you walk like the storm and think like the general and move like the prophecy is already fulfilled. Because it is, it always was. You just had to become the man who could claim it, and now that man lives in your skin, breathes your air, stands in your posture, and when you speak, heaven listens, not because of who you are, but because of what you've survived, because you eliminated the noise, you eliminated the lies, you eliminated the 7 signs that kept the blessing waiting, and now the blessing belongs to you. Because now every day feels sacred, every moment feels earned, every breath feels like a weapon, and you don't move for applause anymore. You move because the mission is in your blood and nothing else matters. You don't care who doubts, who disappears, who mocks you, because you outgrew their level. That's what they really fear. Not your wins, but your energy. Not your hustle, but your focus. Not your glow up, but your separation. You're not one of them anymore. You're not the guy who breaks at the first no, who collapses when ignored, who panics when it's quiet. You've made peace with silence. You've made fire your friend. You've made pressure your playground. And now the world can't figure you out, because they've never seen a man who walks without fear, who builds without hype, who suffers without complaint, and still rises like thunder. You've become the blueprint, the one they pretend not to watch, but study in secret, and that's fine. Let them talk, let them scroll, let them judge from the sidelines, while you build your kingdom brick by brick, breath by breath, like a ghost in the shadows, until one day they look up and realize they were watching a dynasty unfold in real time, and by then it'll be too late, because the door will be closed, the crown will be on your head, and the throne will be yours, and no one will be able to say you didn't earn it because your fire left ashes on every excuse you ever had. And now you look in the mirror and finally see the man that God whispered about all those years ago. The one who leads, the one who conquers, the one who never folded, the one who eliminated everything in his way and rose without a map, without a handout, without a crowd, just grit, faith, and unrelenting fire. Because when you reach this place, when you've eliminated the lies, the hesitation need to be understood, the craving to be liked, the addiction to comfort, you realize you're not even the same species anymore. You look like them, but you don't live like them. You don't think like them. You don't waste like them. You don't fear like them. You don't wait like them, because they're hoping for success while you're engineering it. They're still praying for signs while you're becoming the signal. They're still dreaming about freedom while you're living like you already own it. And that's the difference between the few who rise and the many who rot. The few eliminate and evolve, many negotiate and stay stuck. But you crossed that line a long time ago. The moment you chose war over ease, the moment you chose standards over popularity, the moment you chose to suffer for your vision instead of die in your comfort, and now the world is feeling it. They feel your shift, they feel heat, and they'll either level up or get burned by your presence, because you didn't rise to fit in. You rose to break the fucking mold, to rewrite what's possible, to show what happens when a man gets tired of being soft and finally kills the version of himself that was built by fear. And then there's no going back, no watering down, no slowing up, no shrinking for small minds. You're all in now, and because of that, the blessings have no choice but to come. The opportunities have no choice but to align. The energy has no choice but to submit. Because you've become the kind of man who walks in alignment, not just with success, but with divine authority. You've walked through fire, you've built through silence, you've bled through setbacks, and now you speak with thunder, you move with purpose, you live with intensity, and you build with God, because now you understand what they don't, now you see what they never will, that success was never about talent. It was about purity, about alignment, about killing everything inside of you that didn't match the man you were called to be, and you did that. You walked through seasons where no one clapped, no one helped, no one cared, and still you moved, still you built, still you showed up, while others posted you were planting, while others flexed, you were focused while others entertained. Weakness, you were erasing yours, and now your silence is your sermon, your life is your loudest proof, and you walk different, not with ego but with evidence. Evidence that you suffered and didn't fold, that you lost and didn't quit, that you doubted and still showed up. And now when they look at you, they don't just see a man, they see what happens when discipline becomes your oxygen, when excuses die, when you eliminate everything that doesn't elevate, and now you're untouchable. Not because nothing hurts you, but because nothing owns you. Not fear, not failure, not pressure, not pain. And that's why you're dangerous, not because you've arrived, but because you'll never stop. Not until the vision becomes reality, not until your name echoes through generations, until everything God showed you in the dark is standing in front of you, in the light. And even then you won't slow down, because it's not about what you can get, it's about who you're becoming. It's about how many souls you can set on fire just by being an example. It's about waking up every man forgot who he was and showing him that it's not too late, that the lion inside is still breathing under the lies, the softness, the fear that if he eliminates enough, if he fights hard enough, if he locks in long enough, he too can become unstoppable, because now you are the proof, you are the standard, are the walking flame that reminds the world of what's possible when a man stops waiting and starts eliminating, because once you've burned this far, there's no turning back. The softness doesn't just feel wrong, it feels toxic. Weakness isn't just annoying, it's insulting, and the world that once made you question yourself now looks small, now looks slow, now looks fragile, because you've outgrown their rules, their timelines, their expectations, their fears, and now you move like you've been chosen because you have not by the crowd but by the Creator. And when a man accepts that calling, everything changes. His thoughts become weapons, his habits become armor, his silence becomes thunder, and the war becomes sacred, because it's no longer about success, it's about responsibility. It's about what you owe to the younger version of you who suffered alone and kept believing. It's about what you owe to your bloodline, your future, your purpose, and the hundreds of men silently watching you right now who don't have the strength to speak but still draw power from your presence. That's the real weight, and you carry it with honor. You carry it without whining. You carry it because you've been forged in fire long enough to finally wear it like a crown. And that's why you're blessed, not because you asked, but because you became the man who could be trusted with power, trusted with impact, trusted with riches, trusted with influence. And you didn't get there by accident. You got there by elimination, deleting everything that made you dull, slow, soft, emotional, reactive, chaotic, and trading it for clarity, intensity, strategy, faith, obsession. And you stayed in that fire while the world told you to relax, told you to balance, told you to wait, but you didn't. And now your discipline is your identity, habits are your home, and your standard is so high that the old version of you couldn't survive 5 minutes in your new life, because this life isn't easy, it's earned, and only killers walk here. Not the kind with violence, but the kind who kill every excuse, every distraction, every weakness, every day, until the man they were born to be is all that's left. Because when you reach this stage of fire, when you've suffered enough to no longer flinch, when the pressure no longer breaks you but builds you, when silence becomes your strategy and solitude becomes your sanctuary, when your discipline is louder than your words and your consistency is stronger than your emotions, you begin to realize you don't need permission to be powerful. You just need elimination. Eliminate the lies, eliminate the fear, eliminate the parts of you that keep clinging to comfort, and once they're gone, you rise not as a version of yourself, not as an upgraded model, but as something completely new, something rare, something magnetic, something eternal. And from that place you don't move like a man anymore. You move like momentum, you move like destiny dressed in focus. You move like a prophecy with a spine made of fire, and the world feels it, not because you're loud, but because you're undeniable. You walk into rooms and weak minds flinch because your energy exposes their excuses. You post one sentence and it shatters timelines because it's not content, it's conviction. You train not for abs or ego, but because what could break out tomorrow and you'd be ready. You study not to sound smart, but because ignorance is death. You build not to impress, but because you've seen what happens when a man sits still too long, and you will never let that be you again. Never again will you shrink for acceptance. Never again will you slow down for average. Never again will you dress your fire in politeness, because your life is not a show. It's a signal, it's a warning shot to every man watching that greatness is still possible, but only if you're willing to burn for it. And you burned. You bled, you broke, and you kept going, because now there's nothing left to prove. You already bled for this, you already broke for this, you already suffered for this, and the world didn't clap, the world didn't care. And that's what made you dangerous, because when the claps stopped, you kept building. When the light died out, you kept going. When the pain got louder, you got quiet, and in that silence you met your true self. Not the one the world told you to be, not the version shaped by school or society or fear, but the version that was forged in your own fire. And that man doesn't run from pressure, he chases it. He doesn't beg for success, he becomes it. He doesn't wait for opportunity, he builds it out of thin air with grit and scars and silence. And now that man walks into every room like a signal, like presence, like thunder wrapped in focus, and people feel it. They don't know what it is, but they feel it, because true fire doesn't need to announce itself. It just burns and burns and burns until the whole world watches in silence. And now you know why they feared you, not because of your words, but because of your discipline, because you said no to everything they couldn't, because you gave up what they still make excuses for, because you sacrificed peace for purpose, and they're still lost in pleasure. You weren't lucky, you were ruthless, you were intentional, you were patient, You were obsessed, and now the reward is no longer a question. It's inevitable, because when a man eliminates enough, nothing left to stop him. So now here you stand, no more excuses, no more lies, no more masks. You've burned them all, and what's left is you raw focused, ready not for comfort, but for conquest, not for attention, but for impact, not for likes, but for legacy. And this time there's no going back, because you've crossed the line. The old you is dead, the soft you is buried, the small you is dust, and all that remains is a man forged by fire, led by purpose, and blessed by discipline. And the world will try to test you, they'll tempt you, they'll try to pull you back into the noise, but you won't bend. You know who you are now, and more importantly, you know who you're not, and you'll never be that man again. Never again will you wake up confused. Never again will you betray your calling. Never again will you dress your greatness in humility to make weak people comfortable, because this is your era. Rise your fire, your time, and no one, no thing, no demon, no doubt, no delay can stop what's already been written over your life by the one who made you. And the only thing you have to do now is continue to walk, continue to build, continue to bleed, if you must, but never stop, because the crown is not given. It's earned through elimination, through obsession, through obedience to the voice no one else hears but you. And if you keep going, if you keep killing the noise, if you keep burning with purpose and rising through pain and refusing to fold and sharpening your sword in silence, you will become not just successful, not just respected, not just powerful, but immortal, because men like you don't die, they echo, and your echo will be fire.